What are some of the things that I could not heal by telepathic healing methods? So in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that does not heal or I could not heal, using my telepathic energy healing um, capabilities and describe it and give you the reasons why I feel it cannot heal. So it also broadens your awareness and not feel like this is some, magic or miracle because I'm not a Jesus or something. I'm not a faith healer, where suddenly someone cannot see and they can see, or they cripple, or their limb is missing and the limb can grow. There's nothing like that. This is a very scientific thing, and it works with energy transference, right? And I will discuss, the things that I could not heal, or the illnesses, or the ailments. So I want to ask you a great favor. If you like the contents of my video, please do not forget to also like and subscribe to my channel. This is going to greatly help the algorithms of my channel to be able to reach out to more people. For those who don't know me, I am Osman. I'm a bioenergy healer on a master level with telepathic healing capabilities, specializing in critical care recovery and terminal illnesses, amongst a host of other physiological, psychological, and even spiritual ailments, especially alleviating the adverse effects of involuntary Kundalini awakening. I'm also an advanced level yoga and meditation teacher, having been practicing the art for almost 50 years and teaching for 44 years. And in that period, studied under different schools of thought, including the Far Eastern, Western, across the globe, right? And I gleaned out what I felt is the most powerful components and simplified it and created my own unique protocols. And to that end, I've got now students in over 100 countries. And my favorite protocol is the 5 minute yoga and meditation program, which you can download for free in exchange for your subscription to my blog from my website, yogawellness786.com, and where you can also get more information on uh, my services. Please also understand that my therapies are all natural based and not a replacement for medical treatment. So my first, when I was doing the energy healing, I first started by transferring it by hand. And then later on, I figured that let me try, and not much later, because I was advanced in yoga, I said, let me just, when I felt my chakras, and I said, let me do it, telepathically. And it worked, right? And I kept doing it over and over, and it worked no matter what. The person had a flu, the person had, asthma attack, the person had was in hospital dying and, uh, you know, uh, expected not to live more than 1 or 2 days, or maybe even hours, and they completely recovered, with the telepathic healing. And even cancer treatments, terminal illnesses, critical care recovery, it works amazing with that. People who are depressed and sad ascended, someone had, some type of growth in the brain, it went and it fixed the growth, and over a number of sessions, and it removed it, without them having to go for brain surgery, right? So that is amazing. Say people who had a back injury, supposed to go for a spinal operation, and they were afraid because they had to sign a disclaimer that there was a possibility that they could come out of the operating procedure paralyzed, and they didn't want to take the risk. And I healed that with my energies, right? So, what are the type of things that didn't work? I mean, it all seemed so amazing, and I felt so powerful that there was nothing that I cannot heal. Number one, I lost my eyesight, right, 2.5 years ago. And I didn't just lose it, bang, snap of a finger. First was the left eye, and it started to get misty. And it took about 6 months, the mistiness just increased and increased. And then suddenly, bang, one fine day, it went lights out, went 100% blind. And try as I may, and I'm doing healing every day. I'm an energy healer, I'm doing telepathic healing, I'm sending healing for critical care recovery, cancer treatments, person who's like guaranteed look like a skeleton from AIDS, right? And cannot recover. The brain is already expanding in the skull, and extreme this thing, and he's going to completely recovered. Why can't I stop this mistiness in my eyes, right? And I have recovered other people's eye infections just with the thought, right? The person, he tried all medications, all eye drops and everything. I had a patient, right? It was like inflamed and very red, and all the medication, the doctor's antibiotics, all the eye drops, everything was not working. And then I just telepathically, I was standing. I said, okay, I willed it to go. I said, within 3 days, it will start. It will be completely, and it will be gone, right? And 3 days later, it was completely gone, right? My own eye, I couldn't. So I was wondering why. So, of course, from the diagnosis, I also did not neglect, because I always say this thing is not, my healing is not a replacement for medical treatment. So I also practice what I preach. I also went to concurrently to the medical doctors and the specialists. And I was in Dubai at the time. And of course, there's the best doctors available. So it seems, but they couldn't. They said there's nothing they could do, and yeah, and it just gradually went until I lost it. It took 6 months, the left eye completely, and I said I was determined. No, I will recover this because I'm a powerful energy healer. I couldn't heal it, right? It was a very humbling. Then, about a year later, after losing the left eye, you must know the left eye, losing one eye, you lose perception of depth, and also you used to this eye this side. So when I walk, I used to walk into, like, I'll see a doorway, so I can't figure the left side, where I can only see the opening on the right side, and my head used to hit it, bang the edge of the wall, and sides and so forth. I used to hurt myself terribly, in the beginning. um, and then I learned to adjust, and I said, okay, I mean, I have to learn, but I will never be able to drive. I used to love driving all my cars. My passion was cars, right? So then, coming to the right eye, a year later, I was in Istanbul at the time, and then I started to see that things are getting a little bit blurry, and I can't see the writing in my phone, and it's like my eyesight is, failing me. It's like getting blurry, not misty. Left eye was misty, right eye was getting blurry, right? So I can see everything clear, but just finer writing I can't see, and it's starting to go. Then I said, oh my God, I think I'm going blind, and I couldn't recover my left eye, try as I may. Will I be able to stop the right eye? Maybe the right eye is something else is wrong, because not the same thing. Because I remember before the left eye go, I felt an infection to the COVID time go into my left eye, and it created a fever in my body. And that fever was so severe. Try as I may, try all the antibiotics were not working. Probably it could have been the COVID, virus, and pain was very severe in my left side of the brain, right? And I did my energy healing, and I subsided the fever after a long time. It wasn't easy, right? It took me weeks to subside the fever and the feeling of illness, and all the medications were not working, and my eye was very red, right? And I brought the redness down and so forth. But then the mistiness stayed. Something infection happened inside with the nerve pathway or in the brain, and it created some form of inflammation, in my estimation, and closed the pathway, for my visualization to occur in the brain. And it went, and I felt that that was caused because of an infection. And the right eye is not an infection, right? It's just going, it's starting to get blurry. But I started to get worried, and of course, I immediately, took medical recourse, went to the specialist, went to a specialized high hospital, and every month I was losing more and more. The vision was decreasing slowly, very slowly, like about 7-8% or less than 10%. Because it took me 12 months, and as each month went, my eyesight was getting worse and worse, and eventually, I couldn't see handwriting even. I had to use a big black marker, to make lines, and to write it in bold for me to be able to see something, make a note of what I needed to jot down. Because if I write it with a pen, I could not see, right? It was getting to that level. Eventually, I couldn't even see that, and I couldn't even walk alone. I had to need someone to assist. I could see everything, but like very misty, and I could easily walk into the street and get knocked by a car. So I used to need someone to assist me. I couldn't go alone, walk anywhere alone. Because I remember, I used to go every Friday to the mosque, and I never used to miss, in the mosque ever, right? I do not ever, ever, ever remember. And suddenly I went one fine day, and after the mosque session, because it like overwhelmed me and my eyes needed time to recover before I can see, adjust to my surrounding before I can walk, walk back home. And eventually there were stairs. I was standing at the top of the stairs, and I'm waiting. I'm struggling to walk down the stairs, right, from the mosque. And someone saw me struggling, and they helped me down the stairs, right, to walk down. And then I said, no, I'm fine, I can walk after that. And I walked, and it was getting worse and worse and worse over a 12-month period. And by the time the 12th month, it was like all I could just barely, if I switch the light on, then I can see the result. They said, as long as you can see light, if I look, when I switch the light on, okay, I can see the bulb come on and bulb goes off. But blurry, and then my hand, I can see my hand right, nearby, right? But if I like little bit distance, I cannot see, and I can see the outline of people. If someone is, I know where to look, and basically the shape of the person, like very blurry and very misty. Misty is the exact word. And try as I may, my healing was not working on that, right? And at the end of 12 months, on during the Ramadan period, right? Ironically, really like satanic forces probably testing my faith, right? And of course, I'm unshakable in my faith. And during that month, I said, hey, this is a miracle month. I'm going to experience a miracle. And probably my eyesight, I'm going to recover my eyesight fully. I never lost the positive hope that I will get. Till today, I haven't lost hope, right? That I will be able to recover it. That I don't have this energy level, I haven't have the high enough energy level to recover it. And that one fine day in May of 2023, it's like someone just turned the switch off, blank. Suddenly I could see little bit, then zero. You know, never taper slowly to zero, like never go. It went to like 1% and then zero, or went from 10% to suddenly to zero, right? Lights out. So that is this thing, and I found out that the cause of my eye loss was the damage to the optic nerve, and the optic nerve is the hardest thing to recover. So it's easier to reverse age someone than to recover the optic nerve, right? So let me explain why. There is an experiment by a scientist, Japanese scientist. His surname is Tanaka, and as try as I may, I try to memorize his first name. He's got a Japanese. It's like very hard for me to remember that, right? It's difficult for me to this thing. Anyway, Tanaka, and he found a chemical that to reverse age mice. So he found a way that he injected this chemical into the mice, and then the gray whiskers turned black, and then they became younger again, right? All the cells, became younger again, and it even had a deterioration of the optic nerve, and they noticed the optic nerve also reversed, which in people who are ophthalmologists, they know that this is once the optic nerve is damaged, even stem cell therapy is not going to work in recovering that part. Everywhere else stem cell therapy will work, but optic nerve, no. There seems to be some protective chemical around the optic nerve that resists any foreign thing that's going to go there to try to heal it, right? It's like a protective thing. So it's deteriorated, and it's encapsulated in that deterioration by some protective fluids that prevents anything else to go there, right, to heal it. So I said, okay, I mean, the energy healing can overcome any boundaries, right? Because if I can do it in telepathically across borders, I can crush the small chemical this thing. So I always believe that because I don't have enough, if I had sufficient high enough energy, because I had a loose tooth, right? And if I touch it, it's just going to fall off. I said, oh my God, I don't want to lose, because I never lost any tooth, in my mouth. I'm now 57 years old. I've got all my teeth in my mouth. Only for cosmetic reasons, I removed three. because I had this Dracula teeth in my mouth, and we had to put braces and lower the teeth into. There needed to be a space, to fill. So we removed two teeth, cosmetic, to lower those teeth into that gap. And there was one tooth because there was no space for it to grow. It grew inward, right? And it was troubling me probably for over 10 years. Even the dentist said, "Do you want it? Can I remove it? It's doing nothing there." So I said, "Okay, remove it," because it's just inside, and my tongue used to brush against it all the time, right? So that's the only three but everything else is still there. And suddenly I felt this one tooth is loose, right? And then I said, I'll apply the energy healing, and it took some time. Of course, it reattached, and it's still attached. It's now permanently attached, right? It's no longer loose and so forth. And I also experienced some toothache at certain time, and then I healed it because there was some patients of mine that had toothaches, and I sensed healing for them, but it healed very slowly compared to the normal ones, right? Very slow, not normal speed like others. Like it took like weeks and months, right? So for my tooth to completely reattach took like almost 12 months to be fully solid, right? Very slow. So according to medical science, two things that are very hard to heal is your teeth, your dental structure, and your nerves. The nerves, according to neurologists, said if it heals, it's going to heal 1 centimeter per month. And you will people who are suffering from neuropathy and reversing the damage of the neuropathy, because nerves can regrow, you will only feel a slight improvement once every 3 months, a very slight improvement, right? You can't perceive it because it's very slow. And the hardest one is the optic nerve. So this is why I couldn't heal the optic nerve. And then even with neuropathy, I had neuropathy, a massive neuropathy attack, you know, in 2018. And then I recovered, I would say over 95% of it, right? With my energy healing. But the last bit was not recovering. Why? Because it is the wrong foods that we consume, inflammatory foods, because inflammation is causing that normally is not inflammatory for regular people, but once you have inflammation, you become highly sensitized to even slightly inflammatory things. You must not even touch anything. So the slightly inflammatory things like vegetable oils, starches, like rice, breads, refined, carbohydrates, and you have to just stick to like raw cruciferous vegetables and blended flax seeds, and that removes the inflammation, and the last bit of neuropathy, that 5-10% that was left, disappears. But then when I eat again normal food again, to try to be practical, it's very hard to be on that type of diet, then that percentage comes back, and then when I didn't eat for a long time, my nerve function is like back to normal. So the inflammation, and as soon as you eat like some rice or bread, it comes back, right? So one would say, I mean, this is the problem. Why? You want to try to be practical. Try to be on this funny types of diet yourself and see how long. Yes, it's sustainable, maybe 3 to 6 months, right? But more than that is very hard, and it takes time for the nervous system to develop. The nervous system needs 2 to 5 years to grow. So if I'm going to go on a program, I have to use my energy healing and be on the diet protocol for 5 years. I have to make a mission to be strict diet for 5 years and do my energy every day, and then probably recover my neuropathy, but not necessarily the optic nerve. So you need a very high level, and I believe once, because now I've come 700 increments higher in my kundalini energy, right? So, and I calculated now, because it was growing every fortnight, right? When I calculated from when I started to grow it, and every fortnight is growing to the next higher level, next higher level. It's now 700. Now it's coming closer and closer to the maximum. And the maximum is when the maximum energy is permeating the body, the Kundalini energy. You will stop breathing. You will not need to breathe, right? You'll be able to hold your breath and not feel uncomfortable, in that stage, and be in the breathless state for as long as you want to, at will, uh, for hours and even days if you want to, right? And just as a side remark, from a yoga sciences point of view, it's recommended that once you reach the breathless stage, not to exceed 21 days. If you go longer than 21 days, you will not be able to regain the functioning of your body. Will stop working completely after that. You will be dead. you will not be able to use your body again. So for those who's on advanced levels, right, which maybe is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a percentage, negligible, maybe no one is on that level, ever who's going to be watching this particular video. So coming back to that, there were other incidents as well. When it came to muscular damage, I found that those who have severe pain in their joint from maybe accident injury or some physical trauma that they experienced, and for years there was a pain, there was a patient, years in the arm, they had the pain, like probably about, I think, 34 years the pain was in that. And she said she tried everything. She went to China, went to the US, went everywhere. The pain was not going away. And I said, no, I think I can remove it, because I knew that these type of injuries need me to physically do a massage. I must put my finger there and put the energy together with the finger needing it, because it's hardened. There's like a knot inside there. What I feel is the lymphatic nodes have become inflamed and hardened, and I need to rub it together with putting the energy is not enough. Putting the energy together with rubbing it softens it, and then the energy then clears it. And in her case, that time my energy levels were still on the lower level, and it took me 4.5 hours to heal. And I think about a year a year later, my energy level, I told you, every 2 weeks, raising in increments. I could do the same type of damage, heal it in 15 to 30 minutes, right? So it can't work telepathically. It needs for me to physically manipulate those ones. Then there was another patient with a critical care recovery, was being rushed to hospital. And I was sending the energy. I said, don't worry, he's going to be, because whoever was in critical care, they always recovered normally within 5 to 10 days. By the fifth day, they could remove all the tubes that's connecting, the life support systems that's keeping them alive in the ICU ward. And by the 10th day, they're able to walk out of hospital. So usually 5 to 10 days, a maximum 10 days, they are walking out of hospital, where they were expected to die any day, right? Critical care. Come this patient reported to me and doing the critical care recovery for this patient. I said, don't worry, it's going to be okay, because I've never experienced failure in this, right? And he was there. And I think a few days later, they gave me the message that he passed away. I said, impossible. I don't think so. Are you sure? He said, yeah, he's dead. He's dead. I said, but I was feeling like it's working. I didn't feel anything negative. I didn't feel like he passed away, because I did experience another patient that it was too late. He was already dead, and they wanted me to send healing. And when I was sending it through my third eye region, when I'm sending it, like I feel like I'm sending a wind, like I'm pushing out air, like through the bellows, I'm pushing out through this region, right? But for the dead person was already dead, when I'm pushing, it's like this going, there was no resistance. It's just going like blank. It was going very lightly, like there was no resistance. It wasn't any force required to push it out. It was just going like loose, like air is just getting released from it. I'm pushed, it was just going. I said, "Nay, this is strange." And the person was already dead. And of course, I couldn't, bring the person already dead. And this other person, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel like it was going and he was dead or anything. I was feeling the energy is going to him, right? And it was going. And then they said, no, he's passed away. His funeral is this thing. And then I was really devastated, and I spoke to one of the family members. They said, no, the doctor said that there's various vessels in his brain that had burst, and even if he recovered, he would have been a vegetable, right? And it was a point of no return, that he had reached. And in that particular case, I couldn't recover, although I recovered people who was full blown AIDS, and skin and bones unrecognizable, and all those people, so many things, and so many cancer patients that the therapies were just not working, but the addition, still continuing the therapies, with the addition of minds, it brought them back. And I haven't experienced anyone not recovering in that field. But with this case, this thing, it didn't work, right? And those were the only cases that I experienced. But other than that, I've done thousands of healings, and they all worked, and they all healed, right? So these few incidents didn't. But the biggest mission is my eyesight, right? And I'm determined. I'm convinced that I will be able to return, even if that doesn't happen. When the pineal gland is already developing, I can feel it throbbing in my head, right? So it's going to, once it fully activates, the third eye will fully activate. It's like 80-90% activated because the light is getting brighter and brighter in my forehead, right? It's there 24/7. So it just needs to open and be able. Then when I can see and open and close my third eye, I don't need these eyes. I'm guaranteed, because it is opening, it's progressing. Eventually, it's going to open, right? When it opens, then I can see better than the two eyes, because I'll be able to see past, present, future, any distance, 360 degrees, right? It's going to be a more amazing eye than the two eyes itself. And also, you can see in the dark, right? There's no blackness. In total pitch blackness, you see it's like no pitch blackness. You can see it's like a dim lit all the time. Even in the pitch black, you don't need light. You can see like an owl, right? In darkness as well. And so hope that information helps you on the healings that didn't work for me, and there are things that doesn't work. And I wanted to add this video so that it doesn't seem like I'm uh, Superman, right? I'm not. And I feel a gift to have the ability to be able to heal so many serious cases, and they completely turn around people, and especially close family members that were on the brink of death. I brought them back, and they back to okay. And the biggest victory was, my mom was so ill, and I saw her so ill. She couldn't even walk, and she couldn't even eat for about 3 months. And I didn't know she was ill, and I gave her the energy, and she came back to normal again and energized, and this thing, to have that gift, someone who was so special in your life, to be able to, treat them. And once my father was in ICU and he was guaranteed to die, and I was able to heal him. Close family members, and a very close uncle of mine. He was so sick, and he was not expected to survive. He had like an asthma attack, and he was in the ICU unit. And I did the energy healing, and he got better. These are the amazing. Aside from this patients, but important people in my life. I was able to help them, and they're around me, and I'm thankful for this gift. So to be able to do it, but it's not just a gift for me. It is anyone can access it and develop it. It is something scientific and duplicable, right? And I learned it under the Chinese school of thought, Qigong Energy Healing, and I just use meditation to practice it. And I observed a video of one of the Qigong masters. When he put his hand on someone, the person was vibrating, his energy was so high. When I put my hand on someone, they're not vibrating, right? So they feel the energy coming in, but it still need to go to that level where the energy is so high that it will vibrate, because it feels like an electrical energy. So from the Chinese side, so it is a very highly developed, it's got very high potentialities, and it can be learned. Anyone can go to Beijing, China. There is a Qigong school that gives you a certification. I don't know how many weeks it is, and and that certificate is accepted in the US, and you can open up a practice, energy healing practice. Right? It'll start on a basic level, but using the yoga sciences, you can raise it to very high levels. That's why I'm focusing and specializing in terminal illnesses and critical care recovery. I leave the normal things, for the other energy healers, and the medical field as well. I'm only, going into fields where medical, treatment can no longer work, or no longer is working. It needs a little more push. So mine is just that extra push that brings them, so that the medical treatment can work. Right? So not that medical, I'm above medical treatment. I just one additional factor, and the medical treatment now works and heals the person. But in my opinion, every human body has got a inbuilt healing mechanism in there. I'm just putting a boosting cable to activate your own healing. That's healing you. It's you who's healing you. I'm just putting the energy, a booster, to boost your own self-healing capability. So hope that information helps you, and take care of yourself always.